After I discovered my wife's affair, I spent 2 agonizing months pretending everything was fine, while quietly gathering evidence. When I finally confronted her, it forced me to question everything. My wife and I had been together for 8 years, 5 of them married. I was 30 and she was 34. For the longest time, I believed we were the kind of couple that could talk about anything, fix any issue that came our way. Sure, like every couple, we had our ups and downs, but I loved her deeply and believed she felt the same about me. About 4 months ago, everything changed. She became distant, more glued to her phone, and our conversations turned into brief, awkward exchanges. I brushed it off at first, chalking it up to stress or some personal struggle she hadn't yet shared. But deep down, the unease festered. I'd heard stories of cheating behavior before, how people become secretive, withdrawn. I didn't want to believe that could happen to us, but something wasn't right. One day, reality hit me like a sucker punch. I found a message on her phone. There was no mistaking it. She was seeing someone else. My whole world shattered in an instant. Anger, betrayal, confusion. It all surged through me at once. But at that moment, I didn't lash out or confront her. No, instead I decided to wait. Why wait? Because I wanted to protect myself. I knew that if this escalated into a divorce, I'd need proof. So, for the next 2 months, I gathered evidence. Every message, every photo, every breadcrumb of betrayal, I collected it all. During that time, I kept up a charade of normalcy. I smiled when she smiled, laughed when she laughed, all the while knowing that my marriage had already crumbled beneath the surface. It was torture. Every day, my feelings for her chipped away bit by bit, replaced by something colder: indifference. The love I once felt was slowly dying, and I couldn't stop it, even if I had wanted to. By the time I gathered all the proof I needed, my heart had already closed off. When I finally confronted her, I laid it all out. Every lie, every secret she thought she had hidden, I showed her. At first, she denied it. Then, as the evidence became undeniable, she broke down. She admitted to the affair, said it was a mistake. She told me she still loved me, wanted to fix things, and begged for another chance. But by then I felt nothing. The anger, the sadness, even the betrayal, it had all been replaced by an empty numbness. I didn't yell, I didn't cry, I didn't fight. I simply told her, "It's okay, let's get a divorce." I wasn't angry anymore. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted it to be over. AITA for becoming indifferent? Update. The response I got from sharing my story was overwhelming. Hundreds of people reached out. Some shared similar experiences, while others criticized my emotional detachment. A lot of people said I should have fought harder for the marriage, that maybe I gave up too quickly. But the thing is, I did fight, just not in the way they expected. I fought silently, internally, trying to hold on to the remnants of love, while knowing it was slipping away. There were also messages from people in my wife's position, those who had made mistakes but were desperate to make amends. They made me question myself. What if I had confronted her earlier? What if I hadn't waited those 2 months to gather evidence? Would things have been different? Maybe. But honestly, I doubt it. The trust between us had been broken, and once that wall goes up, it's almost impossible to tear it down. Through all the feedback, one thing became clear. Many people are stuck in relationships where trust is fractured, and they don't know how to move forward. They hold on because they're scared of what comes next. To those people, I wish I had an answer. For me, it was a gradual process. Each day, I watched the love fade, bit by bit, until one morning, I woke up, and it was just gone. That's the truth. Love can fade. People say it never goes away completely, but in my case, it did. After living with the betrayal for so long, I had no love left to save. Does that make me cruel? Maybe. But it's my truth. One question that continues to haunt me is whether I should have given her a chance to make things right. I mean, isn't marriage about forgiveness, working through challenges, and building something stronger? Should I have tried to forgive her? Maybe. But here's the thing. How could I forgive when I couldn't feel anything anymore? There's a moral obligation in every relationship to try to give it your all, especially when you've built a life with someone. But what happens when your emotional well runs dry? Is it right to pretend to work on something that's already dead inside you? Some will argue that I should have fought harder for the sake of the vows we made. Others will say I did what anyone in my position would do. In the end, the only person I have to answer to is myself. And as painful as it was, I did what I had to do to survive. The truth is, even now I don't know if I'm the villain or the victim in this story. Maybe I'm both. Maybe none of us are either. We're just two people whose paths diverged in the worst way possible. Now, for the first time in months, I feel like I can breathe. The weight of her betrayal is no longer suffocating me, and I can finally look ahead. Whatever happens next, I know one thing for sure. I'll never allow myself to be trapped in a relationship where trust is broken. Some things, once shattered, can never be repaired. And that's where I stand, caught between what we once had and the reality of what's left. I don't have all the answers, but if there's one thing I've learned, it's that silence can speak louder than any confrontation. Thanks for listening to my story. It's not the ending I imagined, but maybe it's the beginning of something else. If you've ever found yourself at the crossroads of love and betrayal, you know that the next step isn't always clear. Let me know your thoughts, your stories. Maybe we'll figure it out together. Until then, remember, sometimes the hardest truth is the one we never expected to face.